The WNBA just did something we almost never see in professional sports. It hit the brakes on free agency, right as it was about to start. No signings, no qualifying offers, no core tags, nothing. Everything is frozen until the league and the players agree on a brand new collective bargaining agreement. If you follow this league closely, you know how big that is. Free agency in the WNBA is where rosters flip, where contenders reload, where stars decide if they're staying loyal or testing the market. To put all of that on hold means the stakes at the bargaining table are massive. So let's break down exactly what happened, why the moratorium is in place, what the union is fighting for, what the league wants to protect, and how all of this ties into expansion with the Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire. And if you want more deep dives like this on WNBA labor talks, free agency, and how front offices are really building these rosters, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming when this CBA finally drops. Here's the basic situation. The previous collective bargaining agreement between the WNBA and the Players Association had been extended for a short period, but that extension just ran out. When that happens, there's a status quo period. That basically means the league keeps operating under the existing rules, the old CBA, while everybody keeps negotiating the new one. Under those existing rules, free agency was supposed to officially kick off on January 11th, starting with teams extending qualifying offers to restricted free agents and slapping core designations on certain stars. That's the normal sequence. Tag your key player, extend your RFAs, then the open market starts moving. But here's the problem. The new CBA is expected to change the salary cap structure and the way contracts can be built. So if the league had started free agency as scheduled under the old cap and old rules, and then halfway through suddenly switched to a brand new system, you'd have chaos. Some deals would be negotiated under one set of assumptions, others under another. It would be a nightmare to manage, and probably a nightmare legally. So instead, league officials and the Players Association sat down and agreed to a moratorium. In simple terms, everybody waits. No qualifying offers, no core tags, no sign-in trades, no new contracts until there's a complete signed CBA that lays out the new framework. That way, all the free agency moves will happen under one consistent system. That's the surface level. Underneath that, though, are the real battles. And one of the biggest flashpoints in these negotiations is exactly how free agency should work in the WNBA going forward. One of the top priorities for the Players Union is getting rid of the core designation. If you're new to WNBA contract rules, the core tag is basically the league's version of a franchise tag. It allows a team to take a player who would otherwise be an unrestricted free agent and keep her rights under team control for up to 2 additional years. From the player's perspective, that's a huge restriction. You've fulfilled your contract, you've done everything the team asked, you've reached unrestricted free agency, and then suddenly there's this mechanism that can pull you back in and limit where you can actually go. The union has made it very clear. They want that gone. They see the core designation as a major obstacle to genuine player movement, real choice, and the ability to maximize their value in a short career window. On the other side, the league doesn't want to let it go, at least not yet. From the team's point of view, the core tag is one of the few tools they have to guarantee that a true franchise player doesn't just walk for nothing. It gives front offices leverage to either keep an MVP caliber talent or at least work out a sign-in trade. In a league with a short schedule, a tight cap, and just 12 soon-to-be more teams, losing one superstar can change your entire trajectory. So executives see the core as essential for strategic roster building. That tug of war over the core designation is one main reason everyone is being so careful with the timing of free agency this year. They can't open the market under rules that might be obsolete within weeks. The union is pushing on other contract structures too, not just the core. A big item on their list is rookie deal length. Right now, standard rookie contracts run for 4 years. The Players Association would like that to be 3. That might sound like a small tweak, but it's a big deal for a star drafted high. Cutting a rookie contract from 4 years to 3 gives players a chance to renegotiate or hit free agency earlier, potentially while they're still at or near their physical peak. In a league where careers can be shortened by year-round play, WNBA summers plus overseas winters, that extra year of earning power on a bigger deal matters. For teams, of course, 4-year rookie contracts offer stability. You draft a player, you develop them, and you know you have them under team control for a set period at a predictable number. Shortening that window means more decisions, more risk, and more churn. That's why this is in the heart of the CBA fights. It's not just about money, it's about how long teams get to shape a player's career before she has the full right to decide her next move. Now, here's where things get even interesting. All of these free agency classifications and rules don't just affect existing teams. They are directly tied to expansion and the two new franchises coming into the league, the Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire. Expansion drafts in the WNBA have always been tightly controlled. Existing teams can protect a certain number of players, and the new teams get to pick from the remaining pool. But there's an extra layer when it comes to free agents. In previous expansion drafts, the new team was allowed to select only one unrestricted free agent total. Why? Because each current franchise could core just one player. That balance prevented expansion teams from snapping up multiple top UFAs who were essentially stuck in limbo. But if the new CBA changes how many players can be cored or eliminates the core designation altogether, that completely reshapes how expansion is handled. If there's no core tag, are unrestricted free agents fully off limits in the expansion draft? Or can Toronto and Portland suddenly scoop up multiple prime UFAs in one sweep? Does each original team get to protect more players to compensate? These are not small details. They literally decide whether existing contenders get gutted or whether the new clubs start from scratch with mostly role players and young prospects. So when we talk about this moratorium and the fight over free agency rules, we're also talking about what kind of rosters the Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire will field in their very first seasons. Will they enter the league with a legitimate shot to compete, or will they be forced into a long rebuild? That hinges on this CBA.
Now, even though free agency is frozen, it's important to understand what's not shut down. The status quo period covers more than just contract signings. The league, teams, and players can still talk. Front offices can still reach out to players. Players can still reach out to teams. They just can't formalize anything on paper until the new deal is in place. So plenty of groundwork, recruiting, and planning is almost certainly happening behind the scenes. Facilities remain open as well, under the old CBA rules that continue during this status quo. Players can still access training spaces, meet with staff, and keep up their off-season work. On top of that, the Players Association has stepped up in a big way. The union has launched a network of player hub training sites in the United States and in Spain. These hubs give WNBA players access to courts, weight rooms, and recovery resources throughout the off-season, regardless of where they're playing or whether they're under contract with a specific team. That move from the Players Association is huge. It shows that while negotiations are tense, the union is not just fighting at the bargaining table, they're also actively investing in their members' day-to-day lives. It also softens the impact of this moratorium. Even if a player doesn't know yet where she'll sign or what contract structure she'll fall under, she still has somewhere to train at a high level. So where does all of this leave fans, and what should you be watching for next? First, understand that this type of moratorium is actually a sign that both sides are being cautious and thinking long-term. You don't want star players making career-defining decisions under a cap system that's about to change a week later. You don't want teams locking themselves into bad numbers because they didn't have the full rulebook. Pressing pause avoids a mess that would be almost impossible to unwind. Second, keep an eye on how the league and union talk about player movement. That phrase is code for everything we've just covered. Core tags, rookie deal length, how restricted and unrestricted free agency are defined. The players are clearly pushing for more mobility and control over their own careers. The league is trying to balance that with competitive balance and long-term planning for franchises. Third, remember that expansion is not a side note. Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire are coming in at the same time this new CBA will be setting the foundation. The rules that define who is protected, who can be cored, and who counts as unrestricted will determine whether those teams can quickly become real threats or whether they spend years building from the bottom up. For the WNBA as a whole, this is a defining moment. The league is growing, the audience is growing, expansion is finally happening, and the players have more visibility and leverage than ever. Free agency is where all of those forces collide. If the union succeeds in changing the core rules and shortening rookie deals, you're going to see more star movement, more super teams forming and breaking apart, and more drama every offseason. If the league holds firm on core designations and longer rookie contracts, teams will have more control, and fans may see more continuity but less shock value in free agency. Right now, we're in that quiet space between eras. Officially, nothing can be signed. Unofficially, everything is on the line. As soon as this new collective bargaining agreement is finalized, the floodgates are going to open. Qualifying offers will go out, core tags, if they still exist, will get used, and the first real hints of how teams are going to approach expansion will start to appear. We'll see who values long-term stability, who's ready to gamble big on the new rules, and which players take advantage of whatever new freedoms they've managed to negotiate. So stay locked in, because the minute the ink dries on that CBA, WNBA free agency is going to be one of the most fascinating we've ever seen. Front offices have been waiting, agents have been waiting, and players have been waiting. When this moratorium lifts, we're going to find out very quickly who won what at the negotiating table. If you're into this kind of inside look at how the WNBA really works, CBA talks, free agency strategy, expansion impact, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. As soon as details on the new agreement leak or the moratorium ends, we'll break it all down. Who benefits, who loses leverage, and how it